We all know wildfires for their destructive power. Less people know that some organisms seem to do exceptionally well at the burnt areas. This fact has been known to commercial mushroom harvesters for a long time, and they gather around such areas every year to pick these mushrooms. In this video, I'm traveling to Canada to visit my friends and document this phenomenon. Hi guys, it's Luke from Luke's Mushrooms, and today we have Phil and Randy here from Northern Wild Harvest. They are professional mushroom hunters, and I'm spending 10 days with them hunting for some burn morels. So watch this video to see more details and check their channel because they are also YouTubers and they have much more content of this type. In this video you will see a lot of mushroom picking and processing, and also collecting pine pollen, fireweed, spruce tips, and an interview between me, Phil and Randy, where they share a lot of details from their life. So we are hitting the burn with Randy, and here are the first morels which I found in Canada. The burn morels. You call these the naturals or conicas?
Natural, I call them naturals. That's the old term,
Yeah.
which is a real common name for the naturally occurring morels. So conicas that we find outside of the burn.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays the taxonomy is changing so quickly.
Yeah.
So we just call them conicas now. It's hard to break old habits of calling them naturals.
Yeah. I think I will pick this one so we can have a better look. So it's a smaller one, but it looks very nice. A bit similar to the black morels that I tend to
Yes.
find in Slovakia.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the naturals are the black clade.
So we continue further in the burn, and we have just found a beautiful, huge morel. So that's a beautiful big one.
Perfect condition.
Yeah, beauty.
Right here. I think there's another one.
Yeah, there is one behind you. This is quite a big one. Yeah, beautiful. So time to pick some more. They are still hiding quite well. But they are in the perfect shape. And they really look very similar to those which I picked in Slovakia this spring. And here are the three. Look at the big one. That's the nicest find today, probably, so far. Look what Randy has just found. A patch with so many morels. I only know such sights from Randy's and Phil's videos. And I think here is the nicest group. But they are all over the place around these trees. Amazing.
Welcome to Canada, eh?
Look at this giant false morel. Gyromitra. Compared to my hand, it's a similar size. And there are some true morels nearby. We call these conicas here. Some of the Morchella elata, some of the black morels. Look what Randy has just found. We keep finding beautiful morels now. And there are so many of them at this beautiful location between needles and the ashes. So let's record how I'm picking this group. This is probably the biggest of those, but they are all quite good size and very good shape. So that's 6 of them here. Could you please shortly introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Phil, and I spend most of my time harvesting wild mushrooms and wild plants in the Canadian wilderness.
I'm Randy, and I basically do the same thing. We've been at this for a while now, so it's a way of life for us.
You said it's been for a while, so for how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing it about 40 years commercially. So, but picked morels all my life as a youngster with our family. So,
Randy being my father, I've picked since I could walk basically, so around 25, 26 years I've been harvesting mushrooms, and before that I couldn't walk.
So Randy, what are you making?
for collecting the pine pollen.
So here you put the pine cones.
Yes, the male catkins from the lodgepole pine.
Yeah, nice. I'm looking forward to see this device in the action then.
Yeah, pretty simple, right?
Yeah, but effective.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Lodgepole pine, male catkins, so these give the pollen. So we collect them just before they start giving pollen. And you can tell the lodgepole because each group has 2 needles.
Mm-hmm.
The white pine, the western white pine has 5 needles per follicle.
So you
That's-
only pick from these specific species?
Yeah, we pick from the ponderosa and the lodgepole pine. We don't have ponderosa. That's more of southern BC.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see here's a cone starting. So this pollen will pollinate that cone.
So here is a nice pine tree, and as you can see, it's full of huge catkins. Randy is collecting them for the pollen.
Look in there.
They will go into the drying machine or the device which we built together earlier today. We came here to pick some pine pollen, but we discovered also a nice patch for fireweed. Look how much we've collected with Randy.
Gonna make some Ivan tea.
Nice.
We're gonna take this back, bruise it, put it in a airtight container, and ferment it for 3 to 4 days. Then we'll dry it.
Nice. And then we can drink it, right?
Yes. We have some already from last year.
Fireweed, pine catkins and even dandelions may appear at the same time as morels, and there are also other indicators directly in the burn.
Hey there. So this is one of the indicators here we use for the morels to tell us to look closer. And this is called liverwort.
So this one starts appearing before mushrooms?
Yeah, they start with fire cups there, you see. And these, and that's what makes us start looking for the morels, like in that cap right there.
Yeah, those are beautiful morels. So this was an amazing cluster, which I let Randy to pick because he is a pro.
Where's your bucket? I can't put them all in my hand.
So here is our picking result after a nice relaxing day with Randy. We have the fireweed, we have the pollen catkins from the pine trees, and even some morels, although that wasn't our primary activity today. We also went fishing. So another picking day, another great result. What is that, Randy?
Conica burn morels.
These are
Beautiful.
These are what Phil and Robbie brought from
Yes.
their trip.
Yes. Highlight.
So Randy is now putting the pollen catkins into the device which we built earlier today. They are going to dry out and release all the pollen down there, so it will be collected. So you guys are picking mainly in the burn areas when it comes to morels, right?
Yes, the most volume comes out of burn areas, and we have a lot of wildfires in Western Canada, and recently they've been very large, so there's been more ground than can be harvested each year.
We do pick outside of the burns, but the volumes are never high like we get in the burns, so unless the price is really high, we don't bother. We let other people have those.
And is it a different type of morels? Because people know the term of fire morels or burn morels.
Yeah, it's convoluted because the commercial industry has been going far longer than the recent scientific studies on fire morels. But there are as many as 5 unique species in the burn, and there's sort of a couple different categories. But we also do sometimes get natural growing morels in the burn as well. But most of what we harvest are unique to fires, as far as we know.
Would you be able to maybe mention some of the morel subspecies and their names or some characteristics?
Yeah, so there's a group of species that all look very similar, and they look very similar to natural black morels. So we call those ones conicas, and it's sort of an umbrella term because we need a fast way to communicate those species and differentiate them from the other species. So those ones, the 2 most common ones will be Morchella sextillata and Morchella eximia. And then we also have the gray/blonde fire morel, which is very unique looking, and that's the Morchella tomentosa. And then the greenie, which is Morchella exuberans.
And do they all grow at the same time?
Usually the conicas will come up first in one given area. If there's elevation change, they can overlap, so the low elevations could have sometimes both will be growing at different parts of the burn, but if you're looking at one tree, in 90% of cases, the conicas will grow first, and then later on, the greens and grays will come up about 3 weeks later.
So today I'm joining Phil, Ben, and Robbie, and we are scouting a new area. Quite exciting. You can see how much load these guys need to carry on their backs.
We're going to split 4 ways, Robbie.
Okay. Just hit a beautiful spot with plenty of morel mushrooms. And they seem to be in quite a good shape as well. Look what is hiding here in the shadow. A beautiful cluster of conicas. In a nice shape. Still fresh enough. Beautiful morels. This area is a bit greener with some orange needles on the floor, and we have some more beautiful morels around. That's a nice view, right? So this was our little camp in the forest, like an anchor point where we store the mushrooms and have some snacks and water during the break. We have 3 baskets of mushrooms, and now we are sorting them because, as you can see, these 2 are a bit different species. They are both black morels, but these we call conicas and these we call greenies. Here is a spot with some starting greenies. Most of them are too small to take, but I will take this one. So here is how a tiny conica looks like. And this is how tiny greenies look like. I think you can see the difference. So we have a beautiful greenie here. Amazing. The biggest today so far. Found a beautiful spot with some nice greenies. This one is too small, it will stay here. This one is a bit bigger, I will take it. And look at this one. It's really huge. Okay, Robbie, what do you have here?
Here we got a few nice greenies. You know, not super sized, but a great size. This is kind of exactly a nice dense. Very nice.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Right, a few here. They like to patch together. A couple small ones, medium. And another one here as well. Nice, very nice.
Can you show us your basket?
Yes, it's a mixture.
Yeah, so greenies and conicas, right?
Yes, yes. Very fresh.
Nice, thank you. Another greenie. Here is how one of my buckets looks like today. Including a walkie-talkie and a camera. Have a nice patch of small greenies. Some of them are of course too small to take. But two of them are the ideal size to take. The greenies look also differently on the cut. Phil says they can have 3 walls. Some of morels can only have 1 or 2. Beautiful, 2 huge greenies. And also we have a gyromitra here, a false morel or the brain fungus. So we picked a few more baskets and now you can see how Phil is preparing his pack rack. And he will carry it on his back. How are you feeling, Phil?
I'm tired. It's very hot today, but I feel good about picking all these mushrooms.
Yeah, those are beauties. So now you can see how Phil is standing up. It's a lot of weight. You are a strong and tall man now.
Pack mule.
Nice.
Now for the hard part. It's like carrying a ball and chain.
Robbie has similar amount on his back. And here is all what we have found today. Quite a lot of mushrooms, what do you think? So Phil, I've seen this setup in many of your videos. Could you please explain a little bit how you process the mushrooms here?
Absolutely. So we go in the wilderness, we pick them, we bring them back to the buying station. At the buying station and weigh station, we use a scale and we weigh them up, keep track of everything. And today we picked almost 95 pounds. And then once we've weighed them, they get brought into this part of the room, into our mushroom dryer. So right now we just have one dryer. Sometimes we'll have two, but it actually starts over here. So in Canada, the weather is often very humid and foggy and cold, and we're trying to dry mushrooms in those conditions. So what we do is we have a wood stove, and then outside we have some diesel heaters which can pump dry air into the room. And all the air that goes through the dryer, especially at nighttime, has to come through this room where we've burned off the ambient humidity. So we're pulling dry, relatively cool, just slightly warm air over the mushrooms. We never pull humid air. So there's a hole behind the wood stove in the back wall, and the air has to come through that and then into this ducting. It comes through the ducting and then down, and actually enters from the back side of the bottom of the dryer, and all the air comes up through the mushrooms evenly. So we're pulling the air through the mushrooms rather than blowing it using a super high powered fan that's in here. If the dryer is full, we can also take advantage of the blowing side of the fan. So we're kind of making use of both, the pulling and the blowing. So in the dryer, we have 4 drawers. Each is designed to take around 20 to 25 pounds. And with this system, we can put them quite a bit deeper than if you're blowing. So that gets filled right up. Once they're full, put the door on, and it has 2 speeds. We turn it on like that. I'll come around here. For the overflow, we can use racks, and so the same fan is now blowing air over the mushrooms in there, in the back racks. We've only filled 2 of our 8 racks. Now, to help it along, just to have a little bit of extra airflow, we also have a couple of extra fans here. Sometimes we'll have another dryer, and so we can turn this on as well. And now those mushrooms get lots of air. And we try to dry our mushrooms with air that isn't too hot for the beginning stage, because it'll cause the morels to start releasing spore, and then they get this powdery white color on them and it ruins our quality. So we dry them to around 80% with just room temperature dry air that we've created from this wood room. Then once they're strong and they're durable and they can't spore out, then we bring them in here to finish on the rack right here. And so we call this stage heat flashing, and they basically get a higher temperature, and that makes sure that firms them all up, and then they'll last for many years this way. And that's the final stage of the drying. Once that's done, we then put them back in the dryer when the dryer is empty and tumble them around to clean them. And then we package them up, and the final cleaning is when you actually go to eat them and you rehydrate them.
That's very smart how you are using the airflow and hot air from the stove. You also have something else behind you. What's that?
This is Ivan chai, which is a type of wild tea. It used to be very popular in parts of Europe, and it is basically fermented fireweed tea. So we harvest the fireweed, which is abundant after wildfire in Canada and in other parts of the world. And you have to make sure you have the right type of fireweed. And then you bruise the leaves by hand, put them in a bag, starve them of oxygen with a little bit of heat, and they'll ferment lightly. Once that's done, you dry it back out, and you have a delicious caffeine-free black tea.
Looking forward to try that one. And here we also have the pine catkins, right?
Yeah, pine pollen from the catkins. So they'll start like this. They'll be really green when we harvest them, or slightly red, purple. And then as we dry them, they'll open up like that and start releasing all their pollen. And within a couple days, they'll be fully opened. And underneath them, we have some fine mesh. So all that pollen will get caught in here, and we can gather it all up. And it's good stuff.
Yeah, this is amazing setup, and thank you for explaining it so well.
No problem.
For me, it's very surprising because I've never seen more morels or more mushrooms in my life before than you are having here. But you are saying this is a bit of a dead spot in the season?
Yeah.
You arrived right after our larger harvests, and so it's the slow point in the season between the different species types. And this is a fairly average fire in terms of volume. So sometimes it can be a lot more than what you're seeing here. But this wasn't bad either. This was pretty average.
So I can see you have a lot of experience and you know a little bit of the behavior of the mushrooms. You can predict a little bit.
By what the other plants are doing, how the flush is. There's lots of things that talk to us. For example, sometimes we'll see with the conicas, the first variety that we pick, you'll see 2 or 3 different flushes at the same time, all of different maturity.
We have seen morels which are too old, we don't pick those. We have seen morels which are too small, too young, we also don't pick those. And I can see that when you are doing this commercially, you are really picking the best looking and the best shaped morels that you find.
That's our commitment to when we started the whole YouTube, and we wanted to be known as top quality. Because we know how to do that, and we already have a reputation for that, so we just try to build on that and just focus on the best quality we can.
Yeah, I can see that here and also in the showroom, the showcase of your drying room. I could see everything, like you pay a lot of attention to each detail of the process.
Yeah, and that varies depending on the weather. When the weather is like really rainy, things get a little more difficult. We're burning more wood. We're having to put more attention. When it's been hot and sunny like it's been, basically we don't have to do anything all day.
Yeah.
Just let the fans run.
Yeah. Now we have quite warm and dry weather. I believe you would welcome some rain.
Yes.
I was just going to say that the reason it's been an average season is because it's been so dry. So often, unless you get lucky, sometimes you do, but a lot of the time when it's hot and dry and it's good conditions for drying, that often means you're not getting really good volume because it hasn't been raining enough. So when we're getting the most mushrooms is usually when the weather is the most challenging for drying. So that's we have to combat that weather and try to do it while in the bush.
But we have a lot of wood, we have the diesel heaters, lots of fuel, so our system is meant to be able to operate when it's really wet out. If you watch some of the videos from last year, you'll see the flash floods we had, water running everywhere, and we were still drying mushrooms through that.
Yeah, I saw the drainages around your tent to let the water get out.
Yeah, we can dry a full load of mushrooms in under 24 hours, even if it's snowing out with our system.
This time we have quite a luxury because we are in the cabins. Do you always have such luxury or is it something exceptional?
No, it's exceptional. We were very lucky to caretake a wilderness lodge around 160 kilometers down bush roads from the nearest town this year. And usually I'm sleeping on the cold ground in a tent. So this is very nice to have running water and a real bed this year.
So I'm lucky to be visiting you in this setup.
Yeah, you chose a good year to join us.
Yeah.
Look at this beautiful and huge morel. And it's not alone here. Four giants, and I can see many more not far from here. here is a burned double tree. And look how many morels can be around such tree. Most of them look very fresh. Time to pick them, I think. Here we have a group of true morels, which I'm not going to take because they are not too fresh. But they still look like a real morel. And here is a false morel for comparison. In this area we have a cluster of, I think Phil calls them blondies or greys. And they are visibly different from the other species we tend to find here. So far this is the least common, and here are some more babies of the same species. So we have at least 3 different species in the burn now. Together with conicas and the greenies, these are the greys or blondies. Here is a bunch of 3 small blondies. Also a bigger one. I will take this one. And here is a nice conica as well. So, a conica and a blondie. And here we have a comparison. Greenie on the left, blondie or grey in the middle, and conica on the right. I think now you can see the difference quite nicely. I would also like to promote my mushroom photography book. It's full of pictures that I've taken during my mushroom hunting adventures like these. This book already belongs to Phil and Randy, and if you would like to have such book as well, then please check the links in the description below. So far it's one of the best ways how to support my channel. Thank you. What are you picking now, Randy?
This is white spruce chips, and they're used in a variety of ways. They're very good, very high in vitamin C. And these lower ones, we don't really want them to grow down here, so we can be a little more aggressive with how many chips we take. But as you get up the tree, you leave more and more, take less and less up there. See this branch here? If I grab it back here and then slide my hand up, all the buds come close together. And I can sit there, and I'm not reaching over here, over there. They're all just right here. Right?
That makes the work simpler.
Yes. And normally we don't take this one, this leader one. But again, because it's down here, we don't want it growing bigger. And it's a nice place for us to come and sit on a log and get spruce tips every year, you know?
Yeah, nice. here is where Randy is dehydrating the spruce tips. Nicely spread on the fresh air. Is there anything else you would like to say in my video? If you have any message for the subscribers or anything that comes to your mind?
Yeah, there's one thing I would like to say is that it might not seem it to some people, but we put a lot of effort into the sustainability of what we do. It's a natural food source that's abundant here that if we don't pick it, it goes to waste. And we're in remote areas, so with mushrooms, it's like the apple on a tree. It's the easiest way to explain the system. When you take the mushroom, you're not hurting the organism. It lives in the ground. Like when you take all the apples off a tree, you don't hurt the tree.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just want people to realize that we're very conscious of that, and we don't show all the mushrooms that we don't pick. That would be boring.
You got to see them.
Yeah.
You got to see lots, yeah.
I just want to say thanks for joining us. It's been awesome to have you here, and it's been a lot of fun over the last few days.
Since I invited you like 2 to 3 years ago.
I think it could be 3 years.
So that's pretty special, you know, it all came together, and at a time when we have all this luxury.
Thank you very much for having me here, for taking care of
You're
me,
welcome.
being my guides and teaching me things. It's a really great adventure for me, and it's really interesting to see that for me this is probably once in a lifetime experience, and for you it could be a routine that you are doing every year.
It is, but it never gets old.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun picking, right?
It's very, very difficult and very challenging, especially when there's lots of mushrooms, but it's also very fulfilling because you set your own limits, and so you can work as hard as you want to, and you can challenge yourself, and sometimes you'll do things that you never thought you could, and that's kind of priceless.
Do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, just people to make sure you cook your mushrooms when you consume them.
Don't eat morels raw.
Don't eat wild mushrooms raw. Don't do that. It's not worth it. That toxin can build up in your body and cause you problems. Yeah, just enjoy out there and respect the nature and have fun. It's a great thing to be able to forage some of your own food, and we're privileged to do it for those that can't, because not everybody could get out here and do this. So,
and also the being able to forage and harvest wild mushrooms, it's a great way to get exercise, but also to connect with nature and to get out there and become familiar with the land and everything else. And we're lucky enough to be in a location for up to 2 months sometimes, not just 1 or 2 days. And so you really get to know the different places that you go and pick mushrooms. And we go to areas where nobody else would have a reason to go, which is an amazing opportunity that we take advantage of.
and for all your viewers, we're here in Canada waiting for y'all to come over and enjoy Canada. It's a wonderful, safe place.
Once again, I would like to remind my subscribers and people who are watching this video to check the channel of Will and Randy, Northern Wild Harvest. The link is in the description below the video. And they also have an e-shop, the link is there too. So please have a look what you can find there.
That's the best way to support our YouTube, so we can buy new drones and GPS, maps. It's never ending.
You need a lot of equipment.
Yeah. Camera gear as well as all the drying gear, and somehow trying. What usually happens is we sacrifice our own comfort to be able to dry more mushrooms, and so the drying comes first and the picking comes first. And if I have to, I'll sleep right on the ground.
Yeah, I've seen you have to work all day sometimes, from the morning till the late evening, not only to bring the mushrooms but to process them. and make sure everything is ready for the next day. And you will repeat the same process.
And then all your personal stuff, you know, toilet, cooking, kitchen, washing. It's like, it's
Bug swatters.
bug swatters. But you kind of get, you know, you fall into your routine when you do it all the time, right? So everybody chips in and gets things done. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a community.
It's always an adventure.
By the way, you put great people together. I'm enjoying the company here, and all of you are great cooks as well. So we have really delicious food here.
Maybe one day we'll make a cookbook.
Maybe Randy. Okay, so thank you very much, and I will be looking forward to see your videos of my stay with you.
Yep. Hope everybody enjoys.
Phil and Ben are preparing the boat because they want to go to the other side of the lake, right? Do you think there will be some mushrooms?
Maybe. There's a chance.
Sure hope so.
We're gonna go over there, and about 300 meters up from the lake there's a little swamp, and so there's some water in that area, so that's our best shot.
Okay, so good luck, guys.
Thank you.
And the reason why I came to the lake today is to just enjoy a little bit of the relax here. I like this place, it's very peaceful. Because this is my very last day in the camp with Phil and Randy. And I would like to tell you a summary about my stay here. So I can say it was awesome. I was planning this trip for a couple of years. Finally it became true. And for me it was probably once in a lifetime experience. For Phil and Randy this is their lifestyle and their way of life. I really admired the beauty of Canadian nature and the wilderness, also the richness of natural resources, and I admire how knowledgeable these people are about the resources. How they treat them. I think they pay a lot of attention to sustainability and to quality of their products. I learned a lot here and I hope you learned something too. So big thanks to Phil and Randy for inviting and having me here. Big thanks to Robbie and Ben for being so great companions. Big thanks to all of you who watched this video till this point. And if you would like to support the channels, then please check Phil and Randy's channel, Northern Wild Harvest, which the links are in the description below, as well the link to their eShop. And below that there are the usual links for my stuff. So thank you all for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.